If you look right here in the orange box, there's a question that was sent to me by somebody, I think on Twitter. Uncle Greg says, Deaf strategies to retaining clients after building their website or app. I hear reoccurring customers is easier for revenue and the overall business. 100%. One of the oldest rules in business, it's a lot easier to get an old client to purchase from you again than to get new clients. New client acquisition, as they say in the marketing world, new client acquisition is the most expensive client. So you want to retain your clients that have already purchased from you. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips here in my book of tips. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Then we'll get into some of the questions. So what's the first thing you got to do to get repeat business from your older clients? Number one, do great work. I guess I shouldn't have to point this out, but I will. The most important thing you can do, the most important strategy, if you will, is to make sure that they're very happy with the work, that you do great work. So if you do great work, chances are they're going to come back to you again. If you don't do great work, then you're not going to get them. So make sure that everybody's happy. So how do you keep the clients happy? My second point, have a solid contract so expectations are understood. This keeps people satisfied. So one of the things I talk about in freelancing is that you should have a contract. It could be email, simple email thing, but you should have a contract that's very clear as to what to expect in the relationship in terms of due dates, how many revisions they get, when you're going to deliver, all this kind of stuff, how they pay, et cetera. It should be specified in the contract, and not so much where you would use the contract or have the contract with the expectation that you're going to go to court against them. Because if you feel that you might have to litigate, you may have to take legal action against a client before you start, then you don't want to touch that client. If you're putting together a contract because you're thinking, ooh, I may need a contract because I may have to sue these people, then you don't want to do business with these people. You go into business arrangements with anybody, even as a freelancer, with an expectation of goodwill between both people, between you and your client. You should go in there, in non-nerd words, you should go in there into a business arrangement with somebody where you feel good about the arrangement, where you don't have any red flags that are appearing. It's like dating as well. If you have a bad feeling about somebody, you just want to stay clear. It's not worth the potential risk. So yeah, so the main point of the contract is just to clarify between you and your client what it is you're going to deliver. That is the whole point of the contract. Everybody knows because it's there. As we used to say, it's on paper. It might be on PDF at this point, but it's clear what you're going to deliver, how you're going to deliver it, what the expectations are. The whole point of making this clear and transparent is that it helps satisfy expectations. So everybody has the same expectations. Never assume that your client can read your mind, and never assume you can read your client's mind. You'd be very surprised when you put things down on paper, when you clarify things in text, how you may have thought your client was thinking in a certain way, but they were thinking in a totally different way. Happens often enough. So the whole point of the contract is to settle expectations so everybody knows what to expect in the process. And in the end, this will have a huge impact in terms of whether or not you get repeat work from the client, because if you have a solid contract, you deliver on a contract, everybody knows up front, then everybody's going to be happy. If they're happy, when they need more work done, they'll come back to you. So that's a huge aspect to this. Next, what you can do once you've delivered the website, check up on your client, I don't know, maybe once every 6 months. Hey, how's it going? I want to make sure everything was cool. If you need any updates to the site, if you had any questions about the work we did, let me know. This is an invitation. Well, what this does, two things. Number one, It creates goodwill with the client because you're checking in on them, make sure everything's cool. And number two, it puts you in their mind's eye, meaning you appear, okay, so I'm Uncle Steph. So Uncle Steph is the freelance contractor. I sent him an email. I'm just checking it out, make sure everything is okay. If you had any questions about the site, see how the site is going. How are people reacting to your new site that I built for you? What do you think? And the other thing, it just puts you in their mind's eye. You're not for a forgotten long distance memory. That's all it is. So it's good psychology. It works. The way our lizard brains are designed, as you know if you've done my Lizard Wizard course, is that our lizard brains automatically trust people and places and brands that they are familiar with. It's just one of those mechanisms built into our brain. You see, our lizard brain, which is our ancient brain, which dominates our decisions in life, believe it or not, one of the things it's trying to do is save energy. And to save energy, what it does, well, one of the strategies it uses to save energy is that it has automatic default behaviors. So one of those automatic default behaviors is what is familiar is safe and can be trusted. So the more often your client hears from you, not too much, you don't want to call much more than, or contact them once more than every 6 months, because you do too much, you look desperate, and you start annoying people, especially small business owners, which will largely be your client, especially as your freelancer. So yeah, once every 6 months is enough, and don't go crazy, don't bother them. But again, it has those benefits I just described. Last point, and I've seen this, don't try to trap people into dependence on you. That's a big no-no. First of all, it's immoral. Second of all, it's going to create bad blood if you trap people. So don't do that. Don't do that. Don't trap people don't force them to a certain type of contract unless they want it. You can offer it. Say, listen, you want a maintenance contract? I'll charge you this much, whatever. You can offer maintenance contracts, some sort of retainer that kind of works out for both of you. Some people might get into hosting, where you set up a deal with a hosting company and you manage the hosting. You may want to do that. I did that for a while, but it becomes a pain in the butt when you're managing hosting accounts, because you're going to get calls about, hey, my email doesn't work, and they lost their passwords or something. You don't want that unless you want to eventually build up a hosting business, which could be very viable. I had a hosting business once. I eventually sold it. And it was great for like 20 years. It was like my social security check. I would get my cut of the hosting. It's pretty good. I still get cuts, but it's quite small now compared to what it used to be. Anyway, there you go. So those are my tips. Do great work. Have a solid contract so everybody's happy. Keep in touch with them. Maximum every 6 months. Don't overkill it. And don't try to trap people into some sort of contract or retainer. Be upfront. So there you go. Those are my tips. How long did that take me? Not long. 10 minutes.